Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I've been planning this video for quite a while to the point that I have to actually change the concept of this video. Originally, I wanted to make a video about the top 10 most wanted games on my list that were affordable. And my limit to that was like $100, but the market has changed so drastically the last few years that yeah, that's not happening anymore. But I do have some rules for myself. One, I cannot add games like Euphoria on the NES that I own on Virtual Console. I cannot add things like my ultimate holy grail, Mr. Gimmick, also on the NES, which goes for like $1,000. And I cannot add things like Sexy Parodius, which is on the Sega Saturn, and I do not own that console. I've read that it also exists on PlayStation, but I've literally never, not even once, seen a PlayStation version of this game. It's quite interesting. But yeah, still, these are the top 10 games of my most wanted list ever, but that are not super expensive. These games range anywhere from $10 to I think 150 approximately is the most expensive one. So they're all quite affordable still. Less affordable than they were a couple of years ago, but still, this is an interesting list. And I just felt like making a most wanted games list why not every game was like 500 to $1,000, because those lists are just ridiculous. And I thought it was interesting that some of these games are just really affordable and I just haven't gotten them yet. So what are those games? I'm gonna put this in a top 10 because I kinda like doing that. And on 10th place, we have Deadly Creatures, released in 2009 on the Wii, developed by Rainbow Studios. And the interesting thing about this game is I've seen it quite a lot here and there randomly. It's the cheapest game on this list. It's €10. And I just never picked it up, but I always liked the concept of this game. I'm quite an arachnophobe, which is interesting considering the giant spider had tattooed on me. It's a way of me to combat that. I actually love spiders in media, giant spiders in fantasy movies. I love that stuff. And the concept of playing with a spider or a scorpion in this game was so intriguing to me, and I always wanted this game, and I just haven't picked it up yet. Even when it was just released, when it was brand new, you could get it for $15 in a store. On number 9, a GameCube game, Wario World, developed by Nintendo, released in 2003 on the Nintendo GameCube. Wario World goes from anywhere between €20 if you're looking for the Japanese version, up to about 100 these days for a European or American version. I love platformers, and I really like 3D platformers, and I think Wario World kind of mixes a lot of old school Nintendo 64 3D platformers, but then put on the GameCube. I like the vibe it has, the money aspect of it, the way Wario can perform these combat moves. There's like these massive attack scenes and everything, and there's some really good platforming in it, and I always just loved the visuals of this. The GameCube is my second favorite console of all time, and I just never really saw this in the wild, not even in game stores, and I just never really took the effort to just boot up eBay or Amazon or anything for that matter. On number 8, we have Parodius, developed by Konami on the Palcom in 1992 on the original NES. This game was actually only released in Europe. Palcom was the licensing name Konami used back in the day on the original NES to circumvent Nintendo's limit of how many games a company could release. And Palcom was actually Ultra Games in North America, but they used Palcom in Europe, and they actually released several games exclusive to Europe, Parodius being one of them, even though it was released on the Famicom as well. And I always liked Parodius. I mentioned it in the beginning, Sexy Parodius is a game I still want to hunt down at some point. I like all the Parodius. I have 0 Parodius games, not even on the Super Nintendo, but I just love these shooters. I used to play Gradius and Life Force all the time with my brothers when I was a kid. And I just always wanted Parodius because it looked so much fun. Back in the day, it used to be quite rare, but now it's quite affordable at around 30 bucks, easily. On number 7, another GameCube game, this time developed by Intelligent Systems actually, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Doors, released in 2004. This game goes for approximately 100 bucks for a complete version these days, and I just never started really the Paper Mario series. My first one was on the Wii, and after that I haven't been able to pick up Color Splash, and now I'm going through the Switch version, the Origami King, just because like it's not one of my childhood games. I never started with Paper Mario 64 for example, so I never had the urge yet to pick it up sooner, but I always loved what I saw for the GameCube version. There's like a crazy trailer. I just, I think it's because I never got into the series yet that I never actually took the time to pick it up. Next up, 6th place. Kula World for the PlayStation 1, released in 1998, developed by Game Design Sweden AB. Kula World was released as a rollout, I think, in North America, and I learned of this game through a demo disc my brother used to have for the original PlayStation 1. You used to have a lot of demo discs. And I played this demo disc to death. And at one point, he just hacked the game all of a sudden. I don't know how that happened. And I started playing that game. And I just fell in love with the three-dimensional, gravity-defying, turning puzzle system. You're a ball, you're rolling around on this maze, trying to collect coins, avoiding traps like slow down and everything. Jumping, there's some minor platforming involved, and the rotating of the level. I always loved this concept, and I always wanted to pick it up. But once I decided, okay, I always play my brother's version, let me just pick it up myself. But once I had that idea, I realized that a copy of Kula World actually went for 80 bucks easy. And I just, I was like, okay, maybe tomorrow. Now disc only, you can pick it up for 30, but come on. I don't mind cartridge only for Super Nintendo or NES, but a disc-based game, I'm not buying that. Incomplete. 5th place, Chibi Robo, another GameCube game. Released in 2005, it was developed by Bandai and Skip Limited. This one hurts the most on this entire list. I remember a few years ago still, maybe around 5 years ago I want to say, I always saw Chibi Robo at a secondhand game store. And I'm like, I'm not paying 15 bucks for this. Are you kidding me? Like, maybe for 10. And I always wanted this game. It's a really interesting concept. You're a robot, that like a household furniture robot. You're walking around through this house. You're taking care of the pets. You're cleaning, but it's semi-platformer based. You're walking with your plug, and you have to plug in the wall together. It's a really funny concept. I always liked this game. And now it goes for like about 150 bucks. Because I was too cheap to pay 15. And it's one of my... It's probably like my top tier biggest regrets gaming wise. I'm hating myself for not picking this up when it was only 15 bucks. And not just once. I went by this store usually every week. Looking at it, it's still 15 bucks now. I'm good. It's still 15 bucks. It'll go down, Nobody gives a crap about the GameCube anymore. On 4th place, another NES game, Darkwing Duck. Released in 1992, developed by Capcom. And this game is pure Capcom art from their glory days. Super Nintendo, but specifically the original NES, Capcom were masters. And Darkwing Duck not only has that really high quality Disney tier that Capcom used to make, but on top of that, it's very heavily built off the Mega Man engine. You can see this with level transition, shooting, sound effects, the movement, the level design. Darkwing Duck just screams Mega Man, but it's not. And it has really cool, unique gameplay elements where you can hang on stuff, and it just looks incredible. And I always wanted this game. I just never picked it up. I mean, obviously, that's why it's in this list. You can still find it. Easily starting at 30 bucks for a card only. My 3rd most wanted game on this list, The Legend of Zelda. On the Game Boy Advance, the Minish Cap, also made by Capcom actually, who has quite a hand in numerous Zelda games. The Minish Cap, when they originally released it, I just never played a lot of Game Boy games. I just didn't like handheld that much. I had all the Pokemon games on every handheld, and I bought my handhelds because of the Pokemon games. And obviously I had a few games here and there, you know, I bought some Zelda, I bought some Mario and that kind of stuff. But I just never really went all out in handheld gaming. The Minish Cap, I just never picked it up yet. Specifically, not only am I looking forward to this because it's a Zelda game, but it's a great Zelda game. It has really cool graphics. I like the idea of getting smaller and the way the world just grows around you. It just looks incredible. I want to experience this story and I want to experience this game. Fortunately for now, you can easily still find a cartridge only for 15 bucks. I really shouldn't wait too long with this one. On number 2, a Wii game again. Ark Rise Fantasia, developed by Chibi Robo in 2009. Released on the Wii, but not in Europe. And this one always hurt me. Now you can still get it, I think, for around 20 bucks, Japanese version, but it's an RPG. I don't know if you can switch the language, but it's very text heavy, so that's not gonna happen. It goes for around 100 to 150 these days for a complete American version, because again, it was never released in Europe. And this one always hurt. I came off the GameCube days. GameCube gave me Button Kaitos, Tales of Symphonia, Skies of Arcadia, Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, Lost Kingdoms 1, Lost Kingdoms 2, Button Kaitos 2. The GameCube had an incredible array of super awesome RPGs. And when we went to the Wii, in the beginning there was nothing. There was actually so little RPGs in the beginning of the Wii that we cried for Operation Rainfall to get us games like Xenoblade, Pandora's Tower, Last Story, you know, but it took a while before we got that stuff. So when I originally saw the trailer of Ark Rise Fantasia, I was like, yes, I need this. It screamed Tales of Symphonia to me. I think some of the devs actually worked on it. And the gameplay reminded me of that. I love the characters. This trailer was super intense. I'm like, yes, I need this. And I never got it. And the problem is, at one point Nintendo updated the Wii with a patch. And the region unlocked disc that I used to play imported games didn't work anymore. So at one point I need an actually imported Wii to be able to play this, which is the main reason I never really picked it up yet, because there's no way for me to play it yet. Now it is on this list because I have a Wii, and I could maybe get around it, but it's just more of a hassle than I'm willing to do for it right now. And I really regret that because, oh, I really want to play this one. And my most wanted game on number 1, released in 1991 by Tamtax, unfortunately, again, not in Europe. But I only learned of this game about 10 years ago, so it doesn't really matter. But because I learned about this 10 years ago, it already shows I should jump on some of this stuff earlier, because at this point you easily pay between 150 and 200 bucks for this game. Card only. It's kind of getting really high up in price, and I do not know why, because it never used to be that sought after. It's Metal Storm. And Metal Storm is a very unique game where playing a mech and you're walking around and you have the ability to change gravity so your character can go from the floor up to the ceiling, and it's just side-scrolling shooting. But the gravity mechanic was so unique when I originally saw this. By now you have tons and tons of games that do it, but I still want to experience it on the NES. The NES is my favorite console of all time. I just want to, the pixels, the sound effects and everything, and I just want to experience if this works well, if it's well done. And I always love the visuals of this game and that concept. But yeah, at this point I waited so long, it's getting quite kind of hefty in price. And there you have it, my list, my most wanted games of all time. There's just no real reason why I haven't picked some of these games up. There's just not, and that's why it's so interesting. Most of these games are affordable, they're all readily available, there's no crazy limited editions or 1,000-buck versions or like, you know, super rare, like, you know, it's nothing like that. It's simply just incredible games that I still really want to play, but I just haven't picked them up. Tell me, what are some of your games that you really want to play, that are like top tier on your game that you always wanted to play, your most wanted games that are not super rare, readily available, that you just haven't picked up? Is there a reason for it? There's really no reason for mine. except for maybe Rise Fantasia, because I have to go through a bit more effort in order to play it. But apart from that, there's just no reason that I haven't picked up some of these games. And it's just interesting to me somehow, considering how badly I want to play all of these games so much. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Please give me your games in the comment section. I'm very interested to know what people are looking forward to play and just haven't picked it up yet for whatever reason. And leave a like, subscribe if you like this content. I do a lot of gaming content. I've wanted to do this video for a while, and because this year I started to dedicate myself 100% to gaming, I'm finally getting, I'm ticking off all these ideas I had for so many years now, off my list one after the other. And this was one of those ideas on the list. To the point, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, where some of these games over the years have just gotten up in price like crazy. That's just the gaming market we live in. We've had some crazy things happen in the last few years that artificially inflated the market. YouTube has inflated the market, and that's just how it goes, you know. People crawled out of the woodwork that never collected before. They just wanted to collect something, fucking up our hobby, and that's just what it is now. That's just the climate we live in when it comes to retro collecting. Like some of us who grew up on this, and it just hurts us, and it just shows that you really shouldn't wait too long picking some games up, because eventually you can go to a top 10 most affordable games always wanted to just a top 10 games most wanted, because some of these aren't affordable anymore really. When you're thinking about $150 for a game that used to be like 60, it's like, you know. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you, and stay real.